Meanwhile, the DOJ is opening a formal criminal probe into New York Attorney General Letitia James over suspected mortgage fraud. Andrew Cherkasky is a former federal prosecutor and joins us now. And Andrew, James is saying basically that the law is on her side. Listen here.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side.
But a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia disagrees. Andrew, how much trouble is she in?
Well, I think she's taking a play out of Donald Trump's playbook. You just deny everything and claim that it's some sort of conspiracy. The problem for Letitia James is this is no conspiracy at all. The evidence is pointing straight at her for making false statements, for getting mortgages and engaging in home buying processes that seem to have been a clear violation of the law. Now, that has to be deeply investigated. Steps that are need to be taken to ensure that responsible law enforcement tactics are done here, and that it's not targeted at her because of her position, but rather because of the facts that support it. So I think she's in big trouble, and I think that the people of New York need to not be paying for that.
Unpack, if you will, so our viewers understand exactly what it is that she did wrong with this property, it appears, in Virginia in order to obtain a more favorable loan.
Well, there are two primary issues. One, that she listed this as intended to be a private personal residence as opposed to it being a rental property. There's different interest rates that come along with that type of election. And that's exactly what she went after Donald Trump for, that he was indicating false matters on his real estate documents. The other issue is that she had a building that had an occupancy for 5 units, but she claimed it had only 4 units, something that gave her beneficial treatment because of the smaller size of it, or the claimed smaller size. Both of those have serious financial benefits to the consumer who puts that on the forms. And ultimately, if that's not true, it amounts to fraud. And again, is very similar to the type of misrepresentations on mortgage or real estate documents to lead to a windfall for the owner that she complained against Donald Trump for. So this is, I think, karma coming back to bite her, and maybe is why she knew to look into Donald Trump in the first place.
Well, and as you point out, you're raising the issue of karma. She was, of course, the lead prosecutor that went after President Trump, and now is having to appeal for paying millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, the last 10 seconds or so I've got with you, does this go to trial or is this plead out?
Well, I think that this is something that will ruin her reputation. If the evidence supports it and it's solid there, then as it looks right now, this needs to go to trial and she needs criminal culpability.
All right, it's official, and it didn't take long to get to this point. The Department of Justice has launched an investigation against Letitia James for, amongst other things, fraud, specifically mortgage fraud. Now, as you may recall, it really wasn't that long ago when Sam Antar, the forensic accountant, did a lot of homework and found out that Letitia James had falsified documents in order to get preferential loan treatment. And she did it several times. One instance was a property she purchased in Virginia and declared that was her full-time residence to get preferential loan treatment, in other words, a lower interest rate. The problem for her with that was during the investigation of now President Trump in New York. So clearly she was not living in Virginia, which is where that supposedly full-time residence was purchased. That's one issue. The second thing Sam Antar found was that she had filed a mortgage application and listed her father as her husband. That was the second one. The third one, she had a mortgage application for a property, multi-level property, multiple rooms. She declared it had, for example, 5 rooms, when in reality it had 4. Again, that was done to get preferential loan treatment. In other words, a lower interest rate. So she's actually got several instances of mortgage fraud. The question is, how is she going to wiggle out of this? Let me know in the comments down below if you think she can. Is one of them easier to wiggle out of for her than another? Is it going to be easier for her to get out of the full-time residence in Virginia issue? Or was it just a clerical error? Somebody filled out the application, said my dad was my husband. Clearly, he was not my husband. Is she going to be able to get out of that one? And then can she blame the city? Does she have documents where she can show that the city told her it had X number of rooms and it's really not her fault because she just went with what the city told her? It's going to be really interesting. And let me know in the comments down below if you think she can get out of them. How long do you think this is going to take? And of course, we're waiting for the third step, which is going to be the actual trial and what comes out of it. Looking forward to some comments. As always, until next time, God bless. Love you all.